So first we will have a little meditation. So I invite you to look for a comfortable position. If you are in the chair or in the mm, floor, you can have your back in the wall or in the chair to lay down on it. When you are comfortable in a position comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes if that's okay for yourself, or to look into a point. And while you do this, you can start observing how you feel, if there are sensations in your body. How is your mind going? Your thoughts? How is your inner rhythm? You can inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose or through the mouth as you feel it better for you. Looking if it's possible to do a more ventral breathing. I invite you to bring your hands in front of you and rub them to make energy come, some heating of your hands. And while you do this, keeping the contact with yourself. When you have enough energy, you can put both of your hands um, under your ischian bones that are under your butt. And yes, you can look if you can really feel these bones. The next exhalation, see how it is to give your weight to your hands. From there, you can start a little, very slow movement in circles or from side to side to feel how this bone moves in your hand. And from there, you can take out your hands and keep your bones well connected to your chair, to the floor, and continue giving you to yourself a massage to the pelvis, to the rest of the pelvic structure, the bones. Explore it with curiosity. You can also tap if you feel like with your fingers, do some tapping to wake up all that zone, the energy that lies there. And when you want, you can put again your hands on your knees or whatever you feel and observe. Put your attention on the places where you feel physical support, your feet, your pelvis, your back, and explore how with every exhalation your body allow itself to give weight to the supports and to the earth. You can also explore how with your presence and with your breathing you can open more space on your pelvic area, more space for your uterus or your vulva, your vagina, your cervix. And if you notice tensions or if you don't feel any sensation, well, you can also welcome it and say to this part of your body, okay, I'm here with whatever you feel. I'm here. When you feel like you can start to move again little by little. The parts that needs to move. And if you open your eyes, take your time to arrive again to the space and to look around you, connect with objects or colors that are nice to see for you, that you like in the space. And when you're ready, we can come back here. Okay. Well, I really invite you um, to keep this presence on yourself and on your pelvis, on your vulva, your vagina, your uterus, all of this presentation. It's super nice that we understand all of this with our minds, but for me, the most important is that your body also discover this information and be curious with this information, and maybe you will have sensations or emotions or remembrance with this information. So stay curious and connected to yourself. And also, you will have access to this presentation, so don't worry about taking notes. I mean, of course you can, but know that you will have access to it. Um, so let's start with concepts. So one concept that I love and really changed my way to see health is integral health. That is a state of complete well-being of the human being, encompassing not only the physical aspect, but also the mental, emotional, social, and spiritual dimensions. It involves the balance and proper functioning of all these areas, understood as a non-fragmented continuum where each part is interconnected, shaping human well-being in a holistic way. Reading this, I have an idea for next concepts that maybe some voluntaries can read the next ones loudly, so I don't do it myself alone because pronunciation is difficult. But so, integral health, what I really like about this is the idea that everything is connected, no? That is not a fragmentarian way to see health where body is made up of fragments working alone, or also separating the mental, emotional, social, spiritual dimension, but integral health see it all together, all connected. Then cyclicality. Someone wants to read?
I can. I can read if it's okay.
Yes, great, thank you.
Okay. Cyclicality is the quality of vital processes that unfold in cycles, natural patterns that repeat and transform over time. It's a way of inhabiting the body and time in harmony with the rhythms of nature, recognizing that change and transformation are essential parts of life. It challenges linear productivist logics that dominate modern culture and disconnect us from our natural rhythms. Um, the- it's too small for me to read. I guess that's why I had difficulty.
Ah, okay. Oh, I didn't notice. It was great. Thank you.
I tried to make it bigger, but then it just vanishes.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, thank you very much. It was super clear. So yes, it's what we said first, no? Cyclicality as this idea of transformation, change, birth and death, being expressed in a lot of life um, expressions, like natures, like body, like the cycle of life also. Okay. And then we have sexuality. Someone wants to read it?
Okay.
Mm.
Sexuality encompasses all bodily processes that are regulated and expressed through pleasure. It is a fundamental dimension of the human being that integrates the biological, emotional, and energetic aspects, connecting with the vital energy flowing within the body.
Great, thanks. So yes, sexuality in this class and in all the training and is we will see it in a also big perspective, no? Not only some many times we see sexuality just as the genital encounters with another person, but we will understand it as a big uh, everything. Actually, I think that is connected with everything, no? Because it has a lot to do with energetic, as it was writing, no? With the sexual, creative, vital energy that lies in our bodies. And so it involves also how we nourish of ourselves, how we eat, but also what we see, what we read, how we share with people, how we relate to our senses, what we listen to, what we see, how we touch ourselves, um, how much we listen to our inner rhythms, and all the regenerative practices we engage in, how we name our boundaries, and the relationship we have with ourselves, our bodies, and our energy. So sexuality, yes, would be all the processes that are regulated by pleasure, no? So, and pleasure would be everything that feels good in the body, that feels like a yes. So these three concepts, integral health, cyclicality, and sexuality, has a lot to do one with the other, no? If we nourish one, we are also nourishing the other and the other. And also, a common point of these concepts are that they gives us autonomy and sovereignty. No? So autonomy would be the right and ability of each person to make informed, free, and conscious decisions about their own body, care, and well-being, respecting their needs, values, and desires. So yes, the big theme and idea of this class and of learning about our anatomy and physiology is that reconnecting with the physiology of the cycle is a path to reclaiming our autonomy over our health and sexuality. So maybe this is already clear for you. You already see clearly how this is connected. Maybe no, maybe it's not very clear, or it makes you a lot of questions. I hope at the end of the class there will be a little bit more of points where you see the common things between one of the other. No. Okay, so first I would like to say that we will see an anatomy that is alive, embodied, and energetic. It's very different from the anatomy that we normally are taught in school. There is in a paper, no, in black and white, and like very scientifical and very far from our bodies. And yes, not there is not the consciousness that is alive inside us, changing all the time. It's happening something with this anatomy. And of course, we are not taught also that there is an energetic in all the organs. There is a particular energetic or a particular archetype that is held there, and then that we can connect with it. We really can connect with our organs and feel them and connect with their power, their energetic, their wisdom. So in ancient cultures, there was this approach to the body. No, this is a very ancient culture from times where yes, the body was more seen as a sacred and holistic approach. So also reconnecting with our sexual organs to give them entity in our body. That means looking at them, naming them, recognizing them, shows inner security. So maybe you can think in situations that you had in life in which if you had known more about yourself, about your organs, about your body, it could have been different. No, it would have felt more secure for yourself. For example, for me, I'm thinking on my first sexual relations, or some symptoms I had of gynecology that I didn't know what it was, and I was full of fear. No. So how much knowing about our bodies really gives you security. And this is also why it's super important that we have a good quality education about this. You know? So I like to think on all the sexual organs as a wave, un tejido, a network with an intelligence of unity. So again, no, it's not the body fragmented parts, but is a whole network wave interconnected working miraculously like a miracle. And for example, here on the image, we see the uterus, the rectum, the cervix, the vagina, the bladder. And it's important to know that everything of this really works together. So, for example, if we have a gynecological disbalance, it's important also to see what is happening in the rectum, what is happening in the hígado, in the intestinos, in the organs that are around the uterus, because they work together. And also, all of these organs are connected to the breasts that are also sexual organs, of course, because they have to do with our pleasure. So yes, we have internal organs and external organs. We will start with the external ones. Do you see the when I move the I mean, ¿cómo se dice la flechita when I move? Yes, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the external genitals are made up of the clitoris. That is, here is only the external part of the clitoris. The labia majora and minora. The mons pubis. I love the name of these ones. That is here. The orifices that we have, the urethra, where we urinate. Oh, thank you, Mar. The vaginal opening, there is the bigger one, and the paraurethral glands that are here, and the vestibular glands that are here. And these are two glands that serves to ejaculations and lubrication. So it's important to know that we naturally have hair in this part of the body that serves as protection, since the vulva is the gateway to our most intimate and receptive space. So I really, I really respect all the decisions we do with our body, and if someone feels better in taking out the hair of this part of the body, I mean, I respect all the decisions, no? And I really like this way to see, yes, body processes, because it's very, very personal. But I really defend also to make informed decisions. If we decide something, that we can decide it from knowing all the possibilities and all the yes, the all of what it means, not to decide this thing. So also in thinking in educate of anatomy, these are good things also to transmit, no, to girls. So this is a super nice page. I don't know you know her. It's called the Vulva Gallery, and it's about showing us different kinds of bodies, of vulvas, of vaginas, because we are not very used to this, no? The system really shows a model, a norm of what vulvas, breasts, and bodies should look like. And this many times makes that we have very painful experience of ourselves and our bodies. But all bodies are unique, valid, and beautiful. And this page really is beautiful because it makes this celebration of difference. So here I have some questions you can think about later. So if you have you ever looked to your vulva in a mirror? Do you touch your tissues the same way you touch your neck when it hurts? Do you feel the tension or relaxation in your tissues? Have you looked when in the vulva in the mirror? And also an invitation to connect with this space without seeking anything more than to be close. Put a hand on it and breathe, listen. Also because this part of the body is many times sexualized in the way that society understand it, no? And for example, many times the only relationship we have to this part of the body is for a sexual encounter with another person or even with ourselves. That is amazing to masturbate, but it's also very interesting to enter in contact with this part of the body, just to be present, just to listen, just to connect, to make it feel that we are there. And then we have the internal organs. So here is the uterus, the uterine tubes that arrives here with the fimbriae, the cervix, that is the downer part of the uterus, the vagina, and the ovaries here. And all of these internal organs are supported by the pelvic floor. There is like a umbrella of muscles like this that really contain all these organs. So when I was saying that we can enter in contact with each one of these organs with curiosity, one very nice place to enter in contact for me was, for example, the pelvic floor. I was doing hypopressivos, that is an exercise for the pelvic floor. And it was amazing how doing this exercise really connected me with my center, with my strength, with confidence in myself. And so I tell you this as an anecdote, no, of how one muscle and what one place can really also bring things for our whole experience of being. Okay, so we will go one by one in these internal organs. So the vagina. The vagina is a living channel to our womb. Why I say is living? Because it's all the time changing and having fluids inside. And also she can change her size. We'll see her now. So it's a muscular canal covered with elastic tissue. It connects the outside with our internal environment. This is interesting to think, you know, it's like this canal that connects the outside world with the inside world. So it's between 7 and 9 centimeters long, and during sexual arousal, it can stretch to twice its length. It is alive and responsive. It needs half a liter of blood to fill up and be ready for penetration, which takes about 20 minutes. So here in the image, we can see it very clearly, no? The vagina is this channel. Here is the cervix, that is the down part of the uterus. And with excitation, that is called arousal, I think. Yes, arousal. It starts with time and with blood arriving to her to grow, and here already 10 centimeters. And the cervix also goes upper. And this, what it makes is that penetration can can arrive without being without hurting, and also without hurting the cervix, because sometimes when penetration is made here, and the cervix is down, it can be very painful. So then this is a vagina in the moment of the orgasm, and you can see how it opens and really moves and have this movement. Also the uterus have this movement in the orgasm. So it's very important not to educate also on this, because even the word, I don't know how it's in English, but in Spanish we say preliminares in sexuality, in a sex encounter. Maybe someone knows in English, preliminares?
Foreplay.
Sorry?
Foreplay.
Foreplay.
I wrote it on the chat.
Great, thank you. So yes, in Spanish, the word really says like is previous to something, previous to the thing, to the central thing that would be penetration. But so it's important to educate that it's not as something previous and not important. Like physiologically, our bodies or feminine bodies needs time to open, to feel confidence, to feel excitement. We really, really need it. And another interesting thing about the vagina is that it's inhabited by microbiota, an ecosystem of microorganisms and bacteria that protect it from pathogens. Just as the vulva does not need to be cleaned, the inside of the vagina should not be washed. If it smells bad, there is an infection. So this is also important to know and to teach, that vagina cleans itself, and it's cleaned by the microbiota. This I feel amazing also, no? To take conscious that we are habitated by many different bacteria and alive beings, that we are an ecosystem for them. And we were talking about integral health, and this is also beautiful, no? Of how we are also connected to the earth and to something bigger, no? So yes, we shouldn't wash the vagina, no? Sometimes there is this idea, but the vagina has her own way to clean, and if it smells bad, is telling something, no? Is calling for attention and care. Okay. Then we have the hymen. So important. The hymen. It's a myth that the hymen breaks during the first sexual intercourse with penetration. The hymen, it's a mucous membrane found around the vagina. It's like, here is the vagina, and it's a membrane like this. It is very stretchy, flexible, and can take different forms. During development and when we have sexual intercourse, the hymen stretches and elongates, and its flexible nature means that it should not bleed. If bleeding occurs, it is due to a lack of knowledge about the sexual response of bodies with vaginas, their timing, needs, etc., and rough penetration. So this is very different. I don't know of you, but of what I've been told about hymen. No, I've been told that hymen should work on the first time I have a sexual relation. And this, again, don't give possibilities of experiences, because there are hymens that bleed before, for example, making horse or doing exercise, or at the same time, there are hymens that don't break on the first time you have a sexual encounter. And this can create a lot of bad experience with the self experience, no? Because there is always the idea of there is something bad with me because I experience it like this. So this can be very new. I don't know. For me, it was very new just some years ago when I heard this, and it opened a whole process in myself, no? An emotional process about memories. And so yes, with all this information, I also feel to say that it's important to bring compassion and like a lot of self-love, because for example here, no, it says if bleeding occur, it is to a lack of knowledge about the sexual response of bodies. Well, this is not to feel guilty, no, if this happened, like, wow, I didn't know and I bleed. And no, all experiences are welcome. No, it's just information to dialogue, to have inner dialogues, and also dialogues with others. So today we won't have that much time, but in the training would be the possibility to talk, no, with other women of all like different cultures about this kind of thing. And I can't wait for that. Really. Okay. Then the uterus. So this is an image for a real uterus. The uterus is this size, the size of your hand, like this. And I really like this sentence. Maybe someone wants to help me read it.
I can read. Let's see. All humanity comes from a womb, and in this sense, we can recognize and acknowledge how much power and capacity to create resides there. To create the physical, the capacity to gestate, sustain, give life, and birth to a child. The same is true with our seeds and creations. It is a channel space. It is a channel space in which life is sustained. The power of life, not only physical, but also energetic, emotional, and spiritual. It breaks the perimeters of productivity, capitalist, and patriarchy with its own rhythms, its cycles, its blood, its heartbeat, its expansion and contraction. Annabella Mosante.
So yes, again, no, this organ being much more than an organ, and much more also of a reproductive organ that is amazing and really miraculous. His capacity to gestate and sustain life, but it has also many other things to say, you know, the uterus, and many other things that we can connect through him. So here is a very, very nice image also, because I like the three-dimensionality it brings. No? It's really clear here how the uterus is part of a whole network and is the earth of the pelvis, is in the center of the pelvis. Here in yellow, only a interesting thing, parenthesis, is the clitoris. So what we saw in the first image was this part, no, only the outside part, but the clitoris goes inside 10 centimeters and goes all around the vagina. And that's also why we can feel pleasure through the vagina sometimes, because the clitoris go actually all around the channel. So that was a important parenthesis. And coming back to the uterus, as it was says in the text, is the origin of humanity. You know, we all have been born from an uterus until now, because actually there are being investigations to make artificial uterus. This is also an interesting theme we could chat on the training. For me, it's super hard to listen to these investigations, because for me, someone that is not born from a human uterus is not more a human. No. So yes, as the text says, no, there is inside of this organ the energy of giving life and it's also the abode, the house of the life force, the Kundalini energy, sometimes we hear called this way, the vital, the creative energy that I like to see, to think is the same energy that makes a tree grow up, no? Or a flower. And we have that energy inside of ourselves, moving through our bodies. And for me, it makes sense that a abode of this energy is the uterus. The uterus is also the epicenter of pleasure. Why is this? Because it's the organ of the body that have more receptors for oxytocin. And oxytocin is the hormone of pleasure, is an hormone that only can be produced when we feel relaxed, secure, in confidence. And yes, so again, the invitation right now and many times in the day when you remember it, to relax the lower abdomen and make space for its presence, its power, and the intuition that maybe lies also there. So this is also different, no, of what we have been told of put your belly inside and like be straight and belly inside, and this not give space for our uterus that takes space, and we can see it takes space. So yes, it's also an interesting practice to do it and observe what happened when we do that. Okay, then we have the cervix, is the down part of the uterus. Here is the uterus, and the cervix would be here. So here we have some rows of it. It's a round protuberance with a hole in the center called the os. It measures about 4 centimeters and is inserting into the vaginal canal. No? It's connecting the vaginal canal with the uterus. Energetically and physiologically, it is our most gene point, giving way to or closing of our most, giving way to or closing, we will see why, of our most intimate space, the uterus. You can touch it with your clean fingers by inserting them into the vagina all the way to the end. It feels similar to the tip of your nose. So if you feel curious, you can try it and you will see you arrive to a top. Maybe it's very sensible, maybe you don't like the sensation, you see and you do it really at your rhythm, with respect, asking the body if it's okay to do it. So it is a portal because it opens and closes and moves depending on our cyclical hormonal response and our sexuality, as we have seen before. So the os, that is the center of the cervix, is closed most of the time, but there are some moments when it opens. So it opens during menstruation, as menstruation can get out, during childbirth, as the child can get out, during a termination of pregnancy or abortion, as the fetus can get out, during ovulation, as the semen can get in, and during arousal also, as we see, it moves, goes up and open. This is also where the different cervical fluids are produced that allow sperm to enter and be nourished or block them during the non-fertile period. So it produces two kinds of fluids. One that will be a house for the sperm and will allow the sperm to live in our bodies from around 5 days. And another one that makes all the contrary and closes the door and don't let the sperm get in, depending on what part of the period we are. Okay, we are almost there with anatomy. So we have the uterine tubes, also called fallopian tubes, but I prefer to call them like this because Fallopio was a man gynecologist that did very bad experiences with women. So it's also a way to decolonize our body, to choose how we want to name it. And they are about the size of a needle. So imagine the uterus is this size, and this is the size of a needle, very, very small. And they form a passageway between the ovaries and the uterus. So after we will see a video, maybe it will be more clear. But normally anatomical drawings show them attached to the ovaries, but they are actually separate. So when the egg is released at the time of ovulation, it is catapulted into the abdomen cavity, relying blindly on the fimbriae, tiny hairs at the end of the fallopian tubes, to catch in flight and transport into the fallopian tubes. So here you can see. Here there is a space that for the size of the egg that is very, very, very small, the abdomen cavity is huge. No, it's a whole empty space. So every time there is the ovulation, I like to see it as the egg really make this trust, blind trust, and jumps here in the cavity and is held by the fimbriae, that is this part of the uterus of the tubes, that takes the egg, and then takes the egg into the tube. We will see a video where it's very clear. And finally, we have the ovaries. So it has the size of an almond and are located in both sides of the uterus. So the ovaries store the eggs, the ovule, during our fertile years. When we are birthed, they contain between 1 and 2 millions of ovocytes, which constitute our ovarian reserve. Each cycle, about 20 ovocytes or eggs begin the maturation process, and one of them matures and is expelled. One of them makes the ovulation every cycle. When they are finished, menopause begins. So all our lives, our fertile life, we are using these ovocytes, this reserve, and when it's over, menopause starts. They are responsible for producing sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, that we will see more later, and are in direct communication with our brain. Okay, so I would like to listen. How are you? And if you have questions, I mean, how are you? Maybe you can make signs. And if you have questions about all of this, it's a good moment to ask. Wow, no questions. Amazing. Or I hope it's a good sign. Yes, that's quite clear. Okay. Well, so we can take a breath together because that was a lot of info, a lot of English for me. All right. and we will pass to the second part that is about the physiology. So I will put a video, 2-minute video. That is I think the sound will not work because it gives me a message at the beginning of the meeting. But well, the sound is not that important because after we will also talk about it. But the images are quite well done, so that's the most nice. So enjoy.
Ovulation is a part of the menstrual cycle when the ovary releases a ripe egg, or ovum. Inside the ovary are hundreds of thousands of follicles. Each follicle is a hollow ball of cells with an immature egg in the center. The typical 28-day menstrual cycle begins on the first day of menstrual bleeding. During the first 7 days of the cycle, a few follicles begin to grow at the same time. These maturing follicles secrete estrogen hormone into the bloodstream to prepare the lining of the uterus for pregnancy. Around day 7, all of the follicles stop growing and begin to degenerate, except for one. This dominant follicle continues to grow and nourishes the developing egg inside it. Around day 12, the follicle secretes a large amount of estrogen into the bloodstream. When the estrogen reaches the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland in the brain, the anterior or front part of the pituitary gland releases a huge surge of luteinizing hormone into the bloodstream. Around day 14, luteinizing hormone causes the follicle to undergo a sudden growth spurt. Right before ovulation, the egg detaches from the inside of the follicle. The bulging...
Sorry, are you listening something or nothing? Yes, you listen. Ah, great.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so
follicle releases chemicals, causing one of the two fallopian tubes to move in closer and surround the follicle. The follicle swells until it bursts open, ejecting the egg and fluid from the follicle into the abdominal cavity. In response, the fimbriae, tiny projections at the end of the fallopian tube, sweep across the ovulation site and pick up the egg. Microscopic cilia on the fimbriae's surface transport the egg to the entrance of the fallopian tube. Inside the walls of the fallopian tube, muscular contractions gently push the egg towards the uterus. After ovulation, the egg lives for 12 to 24 hours, so it must be fertilized by a sperm from the male during this time for a woman to become pregnant. If it's not fertilized, the egg dissolves away and is shed along with the uterine lining during menstruation.
well, I find very interesting the images. The thing she said sometimes is quite like normative, no? The must be fertilized by the man, and also this thing about the 28-day cycle, no? Of course, every body has a different experience, and actually, a healthy cycle is considered from 21 to 35 days, and even more flexibility if there are not other symptoms. But if it's less and more, it would be important to see if something is happening. So yes, I liked the animation, and now we will see again what she was saying with image. So, have my translated words here. So the cycle, no, the menstrual cycle, is made up actually of 3 parallel cycles happening at the same time. So in one side, we have the ovarian cycle here, that happens in the ovary. Then we have the hormone cycle that are produced both in the brain and also by the ovaries. And then we have the uterine cycle. There is a cycle from the endometrium. So these three cycles are happening at the same time, and one influence the other, as we will see. I will put this and you can discover by yourself the image. So the cycle starts on the first day of bleeding here. First day of bleeding, and actually, as is a cycle, it starts and ends at the same time. No, it's actually never stops. So we will understand it more. But when it starts, it's also finished, the first one. No? So the bleeding starts when the hormones are in the lowest point, as you can see here. No? All the hormones are down, and this is what makes that actually the endometrium is going out. So at the moment where the bleeding starts at the same time, well, first one thing, yes, the menstrual cycle, the blood is made of different things, no? Is water, nutrients, many proteins and enzymes, and also stem cells, no? Mother cells. This is what constitutes the endometrium. That is the most external capa, the most external. Someone help
Kind of
me.
layer?
Layer, yes. Layer of the uterus. No? So when this happens, the brain receives the information, okay, this time there was not a fertilization, there was not a child, so we are ready to start again a cycle. So in the brain starts in the, yes, first let's come here. A hormone. What is a hormone? Is a substance that originates in an endocrine gland. It travels through our body, reaches a target site, another organ or cell, and fulfills a function there, giving a signal. No, is a substance that travels in the body to bring one signal from one place to another. And the part of the brain that is important, like, yes, having a role in the menstrual cycle is the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Okay. So knowing this, the brain receives this information. So the hypothalamus says to the pituitary gland, okay, you can start producing the follicle stimulating hormone. Is here in green. So as you see in this moment, this hormone starts little by little to go up, up, up. And as the name says, these hormones will stimulate the follicle. So the follicle is the little guardian, the little house for the egg. The body, very wise, knows that this cell, the ovule, is a very important and amazing cell, so she needs a house, a guardian. So it has the follicle. As we've seen before, with this hormone, more or less 20 follicles starts to grow, to mature in the ovarium. So as you see here, it starts growing, growing, growing. And at the same time, the ovary starts to produce estrogen. So in the ovary, no, the ovary is a gland, so it starts to produce estrogen. And estrogen makes that the endometrium start also to grow, because the endometrium will be the layer that will hold the fetus, no? And all the pregnancy if there is fecundation. So that's why it starts growing, growing, growing. It's also important to know that estrogen and progesterone, that are the two principal hormones of the cycle, are important for reproduce, but also for many other things we will see after. So when estrogenous peak arrives to the peak point, no, to the higher point, here you can see, okay, the endometrium is quite big, the follicle is very big, so the estrogens arrive here, and the signal arrives to the brain that says, okay, we have estrogenous, super, we are ready to ovulate. So this was the moment that was very clear in the video, no? Actually, ovulation happens in some minutes and is the moment where the ovule gets out of the follicle, gets out and jump into cavity and arrive to the fimbria. No? That's ovulation. It's actually just a moment. Other thing important to know that is crazy, but a lot of times we don't know, is that actually we are fertile only 12 to 24 hours in a month, in a cycle. No? Why? Because the ovule only lives this time. It has 12 to 24 times of living. So we are actually fertile more or less 5 days in a cycle, because you remember the cervix produces this substance that makes that sperm can wait for about 4 or 5 days in our bodies, waiting if an ovule is coming. So that's why we are actually fertile 5 days. Without this liquid, we would be only fertile 12 to 24 hours. And this is very, very interesting. Yes, Anastasia?
Yeah, basically, I have a question. Is this the reason why the term of pregnancy is counting from the first day of period, not from the day when we basically had sex? Because sometimes, in some cases, you know exactly when the child was conceived, but still, the weeks of our pregnancy, uh, they are counting from the first day from your last period. And I always was wondering why is it happening like this? Is this the reason?
Well, I didn't knew that this actually. I mean, I don't think the if there is a fecundation, this starts in the moment when the fecundation started. No, the 9 months start there, but maybe the we count from the first day of the cycle, because it's a way to know more or less, with more or less 14 days of difference, where the baby will be born. And actually, many times the baby borns 15 days before or after. It happens. So I don't have a sure answer to give you because I've never heard about this, but the fertilization happens when it happens, no, not before. Even if the sperm can wait 5 days to the ovule to arrive, it's not yet fertilized. No? So it's not yet starting to develop the fetus. But also what is interesting with this is to make us questions, no, about, for example, pills and hormones we have to anticonceptive, no, because we are 5 days fertile. Mans are fertile all the time, no. So here is also interesting to ask, no, like why we have to take that hormones, for example, and it's also interesting to know that we have ways to know when we are fertile and where we are not fertile. But well, that's another big theme. So maybe if you are curious, we can talk about it in the training. So yes, ovulation happens, and yes, this blue hormonal luteinizante is the one that is also sent by the brain, no? The hormone sent by the brain that says, okay, we are ready, ovulation. So you see this hormone actually just is present in this moment of the cycle. The rest of the time, she's not there. So in that moment, the follicle that was the house of the egg becomes corpus luteum, cuerpo lúteo. That is this this corpus that we will start to produce the other very important hormone that is progesterone. So as you see in the second time of the period of the cycle, the progesterone that is here, violet, starts to grow because she's produced by this corpus luteum. And this progesterone, what she makes is that she makes that the endometrium it's a favorable environment for fertilization. So she will bring nutriments, for example, and other things. Another thing that progesterone does is to make the body temperature upper also. That's also have sense, no? To gestation can happen, so we need a body more hot and more yes, like welcoming for life. No, it's very intuitive. Like we can't understand it from a very scientific way, but also we can feel it. No, why progesterone is bringing these qualities. And of course, progesterone is also needed for other things, for health, no, for integral health. And when I was talking about energetic, it's also very interesting to connect with the energetic of these two hormones. No, estrogenous is more up energy like this, and progesterone brings a certain calm and insight. And it can seem paradoxic because many times in the premenstrual part of the cycle we are feeling more angry and like but actually this a lot of times is because we can't allow our body to mm, to entregarse, to give itself to the progesterone effect and rest and be in silence, no. But knowing this is interesting because maybe in the premenstrual part of the cycle you can invocate this energy and connect with this hormone. Okay. So the progesterone is growing, the endometrium is also growing, and arrive a moment around here, the day more or less 22 in a 28-day cycle, for example, to understand it, I said, when the body realizes, okay, the egg is already have been reabsorbed, we don't have any more an egg, there has not been a fertilization, so in this cycle that there will be not a fetus that we have to take care. So the brain also sends the message to stop the production of hormones. As you can see here, there is a big down that can also feel emotionally. No, we are in a moment of roof, a lot of hormonal changes, and this produces an ischemia. That means an interruption of blood flow to the endometrium. And that means an interruption of oxygen and nutrient supply for the endometrium. So this is what causes after the desprendimiento, no? the getting out of the endometrium, because it don't have oxygen anymore, it don't have blood, it don't have nutrients, so it goes out. So this can be also a little bit, we can feel it, no, an ischemia. And again, as it's cyclical, we arrive again to the day one, we bleed, and the story starts again. So here is another image where we can see the connection within the brain and the ovarium. And here, maybe I will not read it, but after you can read it, is a very resume of why we need estrogen and progesterone for all their essential functions of the body, of the brain, of the bones, of the cardiovascular system, of the metabolism and energy. So again, no, this is important to know also, to be informed if we choose to have an anticonceptive with hormones. Is amazing, no, that this exists, but it's good to know. And yes, so here I give you two last questions that maybe would be interesting if you want to think about it on these days, and maybe write about it, as we can discuss it on the training also. And the questions are, how do I relate to my cycle and my sexual organs? How is your present relationship to this? You can be very open with yourself, no, very honest, and write about it, and yes, see how it is. And also, to what extent does reconnecting with them nurture my sovereignty? No? That this was a little bit the beginning of the class. So now I want you to bring you back the question, no? After seeing all of these and think about this, why do you think connecting with your organs, with your physiology, nurture your sovereignty? Oh, and it's nice I come back to see you. And yes, do you have questions about this second part, or comments also? Super welcome. We have 15 minutes left, so amazing.
Actually, it was quite clear and detailed. Thank you very much.
But Well, if there are no questions, maybe. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Mika. It was amazing, and yeah, I personally feel that it brings me so inside, so much to feel and reflect about my own experiences that I feel like, yes, like so inside, like maybe questions will come and everything, but now I feel like, wow, integrating, and thank you so much. It was lovely, Mika.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you of these hearts coming. Yes, of course, maybe this is time for integration, no? And in the days, maybe questions will come, so you can notice, and we will have many days to go into those questions. Yes, I wanted to propose you to close, to move a little bit this information also, to come back to feeling the bodies. And so I know there are some of you that are in public space, so maybe you can do an inner dance, no? Like feel and make like an inner dance that no one will notice, but inside of you is a party. And yes, I'm ovulating, so I thought about a quite moved song. But if you feel more like calm movement, you do your rhythm, of course. And it's not about the form of dancing, but about feeling this information moving and feeling the pelvis, the uterus, the vulva, the vagina moving, no? Giving them the opportunity to move. So I think the sound would not be amazing because I can't share the sound, but if you listen to the video, you will listen to this. And if you can put your cameras for this, would be amazing.
We don't hear the music.
You will have it.
No. Or maybe you can send us the link otherwise, and we can put it in our phones. I don't know.
Yes,
What
it's
is
the version you like. Great.
maybe not.
If you prefer, I send you the link as you want. Thank you for saying me because I was dancing alone. Like, well, I will stop the registration.
Yes, good.